Hello, welcome back to Antiformal. I am your host, Bren Cable, and Club Archivist. Today, we have Stilbite as the mineral of the day. So Stilbite is often referred to as bundles of wheat because its crystal growth structure has these little bundle structures. You can see it a little bit better, how all of these are radiating out from the single point here. This one you can see the whole bow tie, or the whole wheat tie, sorry. And it always makes this shape, almost like a sword sometimes, because the top of them kind of comes to a point at the top, or on the sides, depending on what angle you're looking at. But these are all examples of Stilbite. And it commonly occurs with apophyllite, which is this crystal we see here. In this example, it's occurring with dogtooth calcite, which are these pointy features, and the Stilbite is actually gray here, which is not super common. On this side, the Stilbite is white. You can still see those bundly structures. Here's another one. Looks like we've got some barite growing on top of it as well. And then some really interesting stuff going on here at the bottom. Here's another example. This one's mostly barite. This dome-looking thing is barite, but these are Stilbites. And then again, here's some with a different color of apophyllite, but these features here are the Stilbites. So while the most common color is this peachy pink, it can occur in white, yellow, brown, pink, salmon, orange, red, green, blue, or black. That's a lot of colors. Stilbite is a hydrous calcium, sodium, and aluminum silicate. Its formula is NaCa4 Si27 Al9O27 28H2O. That is our mineral of the day. In some upcoming club events, we will be volunteering at the OKC Gem and Mineral Show this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. We will be there from 9 to 6 on Saturday and 10 to 5 on Sunday. That's going to be at the OKC Fairgrounds, and we hope to see you there. We will be having another mineral auction right after Thanksgiving, and we are still having our t-shirt contest. So feel free to submit those to the Pick and Hammer email. And now I have some great guests coming on the show today. So both of these guys used to be officers. They were actually both officers last year when I was president. They did an excellent job. And they're on the show today to tell us a little bit about the OWRB. But first, I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is Jeremy Colburn. I used to be the historian for Pick and Hammer last year.
I'm Tucker McCoy, and I was the lead outreach coordinator last year for Pick and Hammer.
Very nice, very nice. And you served before too, didn't you?
I was also the secretary the year prior to being the historian.
Pick and Hammer runs deep.
Yeah.
Runs deep. So what were some roles and responsibilities that you did during your time as an officer?
Tucker?
During my outreach year, it was a bit of a weird one for some obvious reasons. There wasn't as much outreach going on, so some of the things that we had to work around and do were more digital. So one of the things we did was we made virtual field trips we could be able to use for school visits in the future. We made stickers that we designed and we passed out to various schools that we can mail to them or send them out. And the other thing that was kind of a favorite of the year was our new Minecraft server where the club hosted, and we were able to set it up and let anybody on our media platforms join it and just mess around, learn about geology, or help build any of the projects we had on there, like our life-size recreation of Sarkies, which we kind of had on there. So whatever the things we did that year, they were fun and they were different, and it's one of the things that I was able to help out with, and that's what I think one of my major roles was that year.
It was definitely challenging having to create the online content and do things that we had never done before. But yeah, it was good.
So my first year when I was secretary, I was in charge of distributing information. So whenever we would have like a general meeting or eat meet or anything, I would notify everybody who was in our club at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
How does it feel to be back in this room?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
There was no like shock when you entered the building?
It is different. It is different now than it was years before. We definitely have added quite a few decorations and additions since I've been here. It was more of a warehouse vibe.
What was a struggle that you had during school? You've both made it into the big real world now, so tell me all of your knowledge from your school experience.
So specifically, I would say one of the major struggles was actually not related to like specifically academic work. Like a lot of the times you could actually go through, and I know canceling classes online and canceling labs and moving things around, that was pretty hard for a lot of the people. But I would say personally for me, one of the biggest struggles with the final years of graduating and stuff was missing out on a lot of the field work, since that's pretty important for like a geology degree and just geology in general. That was one of the things that I feel like affected how well you do outside of your academic work. Like, for example, like missing a homework assignment, you'll eventually be able to learn that when you take training or in your job or whatever. But moving field work online is not really something that's exactly at the stage where we can recreate very well. So that's just something that a lot of people had to work around and deal with. And fortunately, though, I know I was fortunate enough to find a job to where it focuses on field work a lot. So moving on, if I move to grad school later on in the future, I have this job that I can kind of lean back on that makes up for that field work that I was not able to get the full kind of amount of during my senior and junior years in college. So that's kind of why I feel like it kind of fits that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy?
Struggles for me was probably organization, keeping I've never been good at keeping a bunch of subjects apart and being able to focus on one at the same time. So being able to try to figure out how to best do that, that was a really big struggle of mine, my college career.
Thank you for sharing. Did you have a favorite class that you took while you were here?
Yes. It was Exploring Planetary Worlds with Dr. Megan Elwood-Madden.
Yeah.
I loved that class. I don't know if she's still doing it, but it was basically like you planned a NASA mission to that was some planet or moon you wanted to go to, and going through all the steps and learning about different rock and all that stuff.
Yeah,
because
really that was like the project for the whole class, right? Was you had to create your own rover type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick a favorite class, I'd definitely say Introduction to Mineral Sciences with David London. It's taught by a different professor now, but when I took it back a couple years ago, it was notorious for being one of the more difficult classes of your undergraduate work. And I would say my favorite part about it was getting to work with such a wide range of minerals. Like you take Intro to Mineral Sciences, which gives you your basis. But once you get to Intro to Mineral Sciences, you're officially a geologist from there on out. There's no going back after that class. You go down the rabbit hole, and that's about what I would say is my favorite part of that undergraduate work.
Since your favorite class was mineralogy, what's your favorite mineral?
My favorite mineral would have to be selenite. So the calcium sulfate, I took a trip out to the Salt Plains in Jet, Oklahoma as a teenager, and I thought it was probably one of the coolest places I've ever seen. And I was pretty much hooked after that. That's one of the main things that got me into geology, and I'd say that's definitely would count as a favorite mineral.
Yeah? I think we have some of those selenite crystals up there.
Oh yeah.
If you want to show them off to the camera.
Yeah, so the selenite you'll find out there, they're not much to look at if you've seen a lot of other prettier minerals. They're just kind of your clear brown minerals that got a lot of sand in them. But the hourglass ones that you can find out there, you can only find in Oklahoma, which is kind of cool that they're a unique mineral. And yeah, they're pretty cool.
And that hourglass comes from the different directions growing at different rates, right? As the crystal's
Yes.
forming.
So that's one of the things that back taking mineralogy with London, he explained how he helped with some of the research on the crystal growth rate. So your sides of the crystal that grow slower are able to move the sand out of the way, and that's why they're clear, when the faster growing sides don't have time to move sand out of the way, so it gets stuck in the crystal, and that's what makes the brown hourglass pattern.
Do you have a favorite mineral?
I do. It's selenite.
Nice.
But or celestite, excuse me.
Oh,
But I don't know
celestite.
anything about it.
Oh, that's
It's
the blue one,
It's
right?
just the blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you told Kim
Yeah.
when we were in Tucson.
Yeah.
What did you tell Kim your favorite?
Orpiment.
Why did it change?
She asked about like rock too.
Okay.
This is a mineral.
Okay.
Orpiment's more of a rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Okay. You keep that line.
I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Well, switching gears now. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourselves. And let's talk about the OWRB.
Yes.
What is that acronym?
It's the Oklahoma Water Resource Board.
Very nice. And what is it in charge of?
We are more of a regulatory commission, I think. We don't enforce anything, but what we do is we go and what we work in is water quality division. So we monitor the quality of Oklahoma's waters. We're in groundwater, so we work with a lot of the aquifers in Oklahoma, but there's also like a lakes and streams and a rivers section, and they deal with all their other stuff.
Okay. And with water quality, what are you testing for specifically?
So specifically in a lot of the projects that we've worked with recently is you're looking for metals in the water sometimes, you're looking for bacteria growth in the water, or you're looking for like nitrates in the water that can like kind of predate like your bacteria, like that's going to help with that. But really overall we're just collecting a lot of data for our own studies and for studies that other people use, so we try and collect a pretty decent range of any like different parameters for the water in our monitoring wells, so you'll have like that different thing, so other people can use what they want to find off of our data.
You have the collection, so it's easy and more accessible to other scientists and stuff. You said monitoring wells. Is that you can't get water out of those for drinking at all? They're specifically for monitoring?
So we do have, you were going to say?
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, so some of the wells, like, we do some projects where we might use some residential wells or some just commercial, like, irrigation stuff. But then we also have just, like, bottom of the line, just regular monitoring wells where they don't really serve a purpose other than helping us monitor certain situations.
Okay. Well, how did y'all get the connection?
I applied there like 11 times. And then they finally hired me.
What was the time span? How long?
Like 2 weeks.
Oh my!
I wanted to work there.
You applied there 11 times?
Yeah, close to that.
Oh my gosh.
And then once I was aboard, I brought Tucker here.
Yeah, so I did hear about it through him, and I will be honest, I did apply more than once.
Oh!
But I will say in the end it was all worth it. We really liked the job, and I think one of the things that they do is to get people that they hire, they like to kind of search and ask them for like future hires. So it's like it's kind of almost a chain of people, since we work in what's called a temporary position, where you work for a set amount of time, and so they're always kind of looking for people they'll hire down the road, and so sometimes they'll ask us, hey, do you know anybody that will work here later on? So that's kind of how they help contact people that they would like for those positions.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Good to keep in the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
What were you expecting? Like when you first found out you got a job, and you did it, you got the job. What were you expecting, and then how did it turn out?
Well, since I got the job first, I'll go ahead and kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything coming from college, going straight into like the work environment. I didn't really have any like notions because I was like, oh, school. That was kind of the time frame or the mindset I was in.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I got there, I kind of realized just how slowed down the pace was, and it really helped me kind of learn the science even more. Going and doing it, actually having time to take and look at the data and be like, okay, and not have to worry about any other factors, stressors.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And like you're only in one class.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines as that, like the one thing that I don't know if I was expecting or not, but the biggest change that I noticed was like definitely college atmosphere in classes has a different culture than your average kind of workforce, because like you were saying, it's a little bit slowed down. There's no but the whole deadline thing that you're always like worrying about your next assignment or your next exam, it's just not there. And so really the only thing you're concerned with is just doing your one job and doing that well, and that's about all you have to worry about.
Do you feel like the time goes by quicker because you don't have to worry about the deadlines, or do you feel like it goes by slower?
I think it goes by way quicker.
Really?
I mean, I got the job in May, and it's already, almost November.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that time frame just went by like that.
Yeah? Okay. What roles have changed for you throughout the job? I know neither of you have been there an extended amount of time, but when you first started, what roles have you assumed now that you have a little bit more knowledge?
When I first started out, I was doing a thing called, I was working on a program called GMAP, which is Groundwater Monitoring and Assessment Program. What we did is we would go around, I primarily worked in the Oklahoma Panhandle, so we would go up to these agricultural wells where they had that they would use for irrigation, and we would, if they were off, we would monitor or take samples of the water, make sure, and when we took samples, we'd bring them back and they would test for things like nutrients, anions, metals. What else do they test for?
They don't do bacteria for that one, do they?
No, we do bacteria. Okay. Yeah, and so I was doing that my first few months in. So then after GMAP, I would go into the LMFO program, which that's working with the pig farms in Oklahoma, and Tucker would tell you more about that.
Yeah, so I've been here working with them a little bit shorter time period than Jeremy here, and so I've been there for a little over 2 months, and the main projects that they've had me work with are the LMFO projects, which is licensed managed feeding operations, which kind of come about in the 90s when agriculture exploded out there due to like aquifers and legislation, and a lot of pig farms come up and they've enacted laws to where they have the OWRB monitor the pig farms to make sure they're not polluting too much of the aquifers out there, like the Ugalala and the stuff that runs from across state borders and down around there. So we get, we're actually working with the Department of Agriculture on this project, where they do a lot of the lab work and they have us do most of the field work and logistics of it, where we go and collect samples from these monitoring wells that are stationed, usually 3 wells at each pig farm around northwestern Oklahoma. And what they have like people like me do is they go out in the field 3 or 4 days a week and collect these samples out of these wells and measure them and take data from them and bring them back and basically drop them off to the Department of Ag, where they go through and help with their studies, and they use that data to kind of keep an eye on the pig farms and stuff like that out there and keep hold to their projects, because that's where the Department of Ag kind of comes in.
Okay. Okay. How often do you interact with people from other departments?
Weekly. Yeah,
Really?
usually. So when I was doing the GMAP stuff, we would drop off the samples to Department of Environmental Quality in OKC.
Mhm.
So every week we would drop off the samples, and it's the same thing with the pig farms. Every week we drop off the samples for the Department of Ag.
What are some funny stories from the field?
Well, Tucker saved my life once from a rattlesnake. You want to tell him about that, Tucker?
Oh my gosh.
That may be a little dramatic, but there were. So a few weeks back, a month or two, we were going out to sample a set of wells around the Gaiman area in the Panhandle, and we get up, we go out for the morning. We have us stationed out there. We stay overnights for the most of the week. Anyway, we get up and we head out. In the very first farm we have in the morning, we get out to do wells. There's a small rattlesnake on the ground, which he identified as a pygmy rattlesnake. So that one was all right. It just laid there, didn't mess with us. We do the well, we're all good to go. But we're aware now that there's rattlesnakes in the area. So the grass was cut real short at that one. We didn't worry too much about it. We moved to the very next well across the field. The brush in this one is about waist high, and so we pull up next to the well, and he's filling out some paperwork. So I get out to go measure the depth, which is kind of the first thing you do. And as soon as I get out and walk around the hood of the truck, you see a much larger rattlesnake directly under his door moving towards me, and that's one thing. But the problem with this one is the brush is so tall and thick, I can't see the full snake. I just see sections of it moving towards me, so I don't know exactly how long it was, but it was at least 3 or 4. And we looked it up later, and that one was, I'm pretty sure, a prairie rattlesnake. And that one we were not able to sample and take our data on because, like I said, the first well where we were able to finish, the grass is short, you can see the snakes. But this one where you have no idea where they're at, you're probably going to get bit, and we didn't want to have to drive to the nearest hospital, which was probably multiple hours away.
Yeah, there's nothing out there.
And so we decided to cut that one a little short, so we got back in the truck and left.
Yeah.
I'd say that was probably our most interesting well visit we've had so far.
Gosh.
But we're always seeing, the critters of the Panhandle.
The critters of the... What are the critters of the Panhandle?
Oh, we usually see like pronghorn, whitetail. What else do we see a lot of out there?
We've seen turtles, we've seen geese,
around the middle fields,
all kinds of
I don't
birds,
know how they get there.
coyotes, just about everything you could imagine.
Cows.
It's much easier to spot wildlife when you can see for about 30 miles in every
Yeah.
direction. So
For sure. Okay, now plans going forward. You don't want to.
So, I would say in terms for me, like I said, I got a very good academic background from the OU Geoscience department, which I'm pretty proud of. And now after working like with this job for a while, I feel like I've got a lot of the field work, the leg work, all the actual real world stuff that we'll use in the future for like a job I'm looking for. And so for now, putting those two together, I hope to look forward to grad school in the future somewhere, especially with my experience like with Pick and Hammer outreach and stuff like that. I've got a really good kind of portfolio for that to apply for those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, just working for either, I know the two popular fields for hydrology and hydrogeologic work are consulting and regulatory work for the government. So looking towards the future, that's probably where I'm going to set my sights.
Very nice.
My time with the OWRB is almost up, so I'm currently looking for other positions at other environmental science type jobs. And if that doesn't work out, I plan on hopefully coming back to the OWRB and hopefully grad school in the future.
Very nice, very nice. Well, it's been a blast conversating.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to
Otherwise-
check out some Stilbite?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we have some really nice examples. Which one's your favorite?
I like this one.
This one. Why do you
What's
like
the?
that one?
What?
Why do you like that one?
I don't know. It's pointy.
Well, the pointy part isn't the Stilbite.
What?
The pointy part is dog-tooth calcite.
So is that okay?
The Stilbite is the weedy looking stuff.
Yeah.
Bundles
Oh,
of
the
wheat.
color. What's this?
That's apophyllite.
That's what I thought.
I do like these. Because the apophyllite's slightly green. You got this pink Stilbite. It looks kind of Eastery.
Do you have any crazy facts about Stilbite?
I don't know about crazy, but I mean, if you want to count fun facts, Stilbite is actually not one mineral, but it's a series between Stilbite calcium, Stilbite sodium. It's a zeolite, which you'll probably may know from mineralogy is forming as a kind of a low temperature around hydrothermal areas, so a lot of volcanic places and hot springs, stuff like that.
I don't have one.
Did you want to get the box?
Oh yeah! Yeah! This is like our newest addition to the outreach program. And it was made by Robert Turner here in Starkeys, but we glued some specimens on and wrote their names. So if you're up for the challenge,
Let's see what I got.
All right, let's make sure we got all of them.
Did you do the kind of?
Yep. We got kyanite, sonite, pyrite,
That's
calcite. All these work? Yep. Alright. Very good. I'm actually, this was not here when I was an officer. I'm pretty impressed with some of this new stuff we have.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad. Okay. That is all of the material that I have. So thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for inviting us.
Very good, very good.
Bye.